Ever since I posted my transformation over the last 15 to 16 weeks, where I've gone from 20% body fat down to 3.8% on a DEXA scan. Yes, that is a DEXA scan. I had a full body analysis done. It came back at 3.8. I think I'm more 5 to 6, but nevertheless, I've lost a hell of a load of fat. And it's been a completely different journey to what I've done in the past in my previous fat loss phases and cuts for bodybuilding shows, for the summer, and so forth. And I've had a lot of messages about this. I've had a lot of people that have contacted me about what I've done, what I've been doing, and how I've been doing it. So I thought rather than answer every question as an individual online, I would come on to this today, this podcast, and explain to you my experiences, explain to you the pros and cons, what I used, how long I use things for, and the journey, which has been completely different to what I've done before in any fat loss program I've done or phase. And this is why I really want to share this, because I feel like I've stumbled onto something fantastic. And whenever I do that, I like to share it, because there could be one of you guys out there that can gain something from this. So before I continue, I would like to say this is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not medical advice, nor is this a recommendation to use any specific compound. Always consult with your qualified health professional before making any decisions. I always like to speak through my own experience, but you should always speak to your qualified doctor or professional first. How this all started was in February. I had been training for Hyrox/marathon. So I was training for a Hyrox event, which was in April. And in the build up to that, I was actually training for the marathon, which was a couple of months pre-hand, because Hyrox is a running event. The majority of it, I think it's 8 kilometers of running. So I wanted to improve my running. So I was doing a lot of running. I was doing minimal strength training, and I was just focusing purely on the Hyrox. So it comes to mid-February. I think the exact date was February the 8th, where there was a marathon here in the Middle East. And I thought, you know what, I wanted to do that. And 2 days prior, I had a call from a friend, and he said, look, why don't you come play some football with us? You're doing all this running. It'll be fun. Come and play some football and have a kick around, right? So I was like, I don't really want to do that. I used to love playing football. It's one of the sports I grew up playing for most of my childhood. But ever since I started bodybuilding, it had to go on the back burner because of injuries and recovery and so forth. But I thought, you know what, why not? Why not dust off the old boots, put the old shin pads on, and get myself back on the pitch? So it was actually a 90-minute game, which was a full-on league game, part of a championship. It wasn't a friendly. And during that football match, I tore my hamstring, and I had some ankle ligament damage right at the very end. Playing absolutely fantastic, energy levels were fantastic, played the full 90 minutes. And at the end, I felt my hamstring go and I felt my ankle go. And this was me trying to be Ronaldo, doing the step overs, dazzling my opponent, and it ended up in tragedy for me. So I tore my hamstring, couldn't do the marathon, and I thought I could recover for Hyrox, which was about 8 weeks later. But I was kind of wouldn't say bedridden, but I was bandaged up, iced up. And then I went to go and see a health practitioner to do a scan on my hamstring and my ankle. I was pretty sure I tore it because it was bruising and it was extremely painful. So I went there and he confirmed what my suspicions were. It was a hamstring tear for about, I think it was 4 to 6 centimeters with some soft tissue damage on the ankle. So the recovery time for that was, I think he said about 12 to 16 weeks of proper physio, proper rehab, as long as I put my work in, recover properly, do the right treatments, and I'll be back to full form within 12 to 16 weeks. So me being me, I was like, man, I ain't got 12 to 16 weeks to wait. I want to recover as soon as I possibly can. So I done the measures, I done the stretching, I done the ice baths, the hot and cold therapy and so forth. But one thing I know to be super effective for healing and recovery, something that I have used in the past, something that I've used with clients in the past, is BPC 157 and TB 500 in injectable form. This has been proven for a long time to be very effective. It lowers inflammation. It draws blood into the area to help that injury recover. It strengthens ligaments and tendons. It does a cascade of things to basically repair you a lot quicker than it would take you to do it without any assistance. So I started the BPC and the TB500 because I wanted to recover, and I still had in the back of my mind I wanted to do the high rocks. And during this time, it was like going into March, April, and Ramadan. I was fasting at that time as well. And I actually recovered a hamstring tear which should have been a 12 to 16 week period. I was back doing light runs, back training my legs very lightly within 6 weeks, which is remarkable. I've literally slashed my recovery time through this hamstring tear by using BPC and TB500 in half the amount of time. So you've gone somewhere, the medical professional saying it's going to take this much time. I've taken BPC, TB500. I was personally dosing that at 250 micrograms in the morning and 250 micrograms before bed. I then increased that to 500 in the morning of each one and then 500 before bed. And that seemed to do the trick. So 250 of BPC and 250 and TB500 and 250 again later in the evening. And then I upped the dosage, injecting it into the area where it was injured. They call it the Wolverine stack because it heals you in rapid fashion. So that is always a go-to when it comes to injury, is BPC 157 and TB500, injectable form. If you have gut issues and you're looking to repair your gut, and you might have something like psoriasis, or you might have, just a dysfunctional gut, it doesn't ever seem to be quite right, then BPC 157 oral is what you'd need to take, along with KPV. Those two combined, taken orally, is for gut health. But this wasn't for gut health. This was for my ligament and my muscle tear, right? So after that, I thought, you know what? I could do the high rocks, could run the risk of an injury again. I've got to start running. And by that point, I was pretty much put off because I hadn't been training for it. Yes, I was doing some rehab work. I was getting back into the running, getting back into some of the movements. There's a lot of functional movements in that event. But I just wasn't feeling it. So I thought to myself, what can I do to pass time? Like, what can I actually do? Like, I love going to the gym. I love working out. I hadn't really been focused on getting into shape because high rocks and the marathon is a performance-based thing. So you're having to fuel those workouts predominantly with carbohydrates in order to perform and recover. Whereas when you're doing something like a fat loss phase, your carbohydrates do come down to a degree depending on your body type and how you respond. So at that point, I was like, do you know what? I can actually get myself into shape. I can lose body fat because I can deal with my nutrition, put myself into a calorie deficit, and start shifting fat that way. I can keep my output there through steps, which is not strenuous, which is not gonna, give me any further injuries, and I could still recover a little bit more because I was recovered, but I wasn't 100%. I might have been about 70% back to what I had been. And also, there's a psychological thing behind that where you've had an injury, you've had a minor tear, right, and you don't want to go back into the field too quick and rip that hamstring right off. So you got to kind of like just ease yourself back in. So at that point, I was with my brother, and he came over, and we were watching Kevin Averone, which is in my opinion, one of the best bodybuilders of all time, and also one of my favorite bodybuilders. So I said to him, man, like, why don't you go back to old school? Why don't I just go back to old school and just diet basic, forget all this macro shit, forget all these fancy foods. Let's do it Leveroni style. I goes, bro, what do you think? And he was like, man, just do it. Just do it. So May the 10th is when this journey started. And what a journey it's been. In the space of 4 months, I've completely transformed my physique. It's apparent online, it's apparent through the pictures, it's apparent through the videos, and it's also apparent through the tests I had with my most recent DEXA scan, which I have shared on my social media, which again came back at very low body fat, which to my surprise, I didn't think it would be that low, not necessarily because of how I look, but because of how I feel, which ties into what I've been doing and how I've been feeling and how shocked I am at being at this level of body fat for this duration of time and how much of a difference it's been compared to what I've experienced before. So I started this diet. It was what I quote a rapid fat loss diet, which is basically an aggressive fat loss phase where you go extremely low in calories, where you're predominantly just eating protein and you're just trying to shift as much body fat as possible whilst maintaining muscle tissue. Hence why the protein is the number one macronutrient we focus on. We don't give a shit about carbohydrates. We don't give a shit about healthy fats. This is an extreme approach. And with an extreme approach, you do take drastic measures, and it isn't healthy, especially if you do this long term. But I knew it was an in and out job. What I wanted to do within 5 to 6 weeks, see where I could get, see how much fat I could lose while my hamstring was still repairing, and that'll still get me in the gym and make me basically feel a bit better about myself after not being able to complete that marathon and high rocks, which I'd been training for 6 months. So when I started this diet, it was literally just white fish 5 times a day. No vegetables, no fruits, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of sauces. But I just went old school. I went so old school, and I thought, do you know what? Fuck the carbs, fuck the fats, fuck the vegetables. I'm just going to eat fish. And I actually started to drop a lot of fat quickly. I think the switch from training functional and doing running to training more strength training and doing steps, and not had putting my body through that sort of level of calorie deficit for a period of time, my body just responded extremely well. I started to lose fat very quickly. When I started this, I was using a TRT dosage of testosterone. For my body, that is 100 milligrams per week, dosed 50 milligrams twice. So 50 milligrams on a Monday, 50 milligrams on a Thursday, and that was testosterone enanthate. So what I typically do is I'll dose at 100 milligrams, then I go and get a blood test done to see where my hormone levels are. And that usually keeps me within range. Anything above that starts to put me too high, and then I start to get the side effects of testosterone, like especially estrogenic, water retention, and so forth. Especially when I'm holding more body fat. The leaner I get, I can actually increase my testosterone slightly because there's less body fat. My body aromatizes a lot less, which is quite common amongst people who use testosterone. But at that point, I just wanted enough to keep myself within a healthy range and not put myself in that super physiological range. So I was running the 100 milligram to test for the first couple of weeks. That was my baseline anabolic. And I was utilizing that with Proviron at a HRT dosage of 25 milligrams per day, just to keep my body in a good place, to make sure the SHGB was in range, make sure my free testosterone was doing what it needs to be done. And does have a little bit of an AI effect. So a little bit of, it kind of like navigates your aromatization to a degree. It isn't the strongest compound for it, but it does help with it, and it is fantastic for libido. It's one thing as men we don't want to lose, and as women, I guess, but in a man's body, it does really improve libido on top of everything else. So 2 weeks in, things are going well, and I started to add some fat burners in. Typically, what I use on a cut is clenbuterol, T3 and T4. I use them all together. I find they work extremely well together. One is upregulating your thyroid. So when you're in a calorie deficit and your thyroid starts to downregulate, this keeps it upregulated. And the clenbuterol is great at oxidizing body fat. It's great at increasing your resting metabolic rate. It's great at keeping your heart rate elevated, which in turn means you're going to be burning more calories, right? But the one thing I don't like about these compounds and these fat burners is the fact that you do feel side effects for them, especially clenbuterol. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a 5 to 6 week rapid fat loss. I'm going to get this fat off me, get as much as I can off me. And then I'm just going to be wherever I am is where I am, right? So I was running my clen at 20 micrograms a day, my T3 at 25 micrograms per day, and my T4 100, which is the T3 and T4 is what you class as a therapeutic dosage. The cleanse starts off at 20, and I escalate that weekly by 20 until I reach a number of 80 micrograms. That seems to be what my body can tolerate. But this time round, even 20, 40, 60 was causing me too many problems. It was causing me, my heart rate was severely elevated consistently, which, like these things that you take, are they accurately dosed? Are they overdosed? You never really know, really. You just got to go with your experience, and you kind of see the telltale signs. So I wasn't feeling good on it. My sleep was poor because of my anxiety levels were up. My body was in a consistent sympathetic state. It wasn't in a parasympathetic state because my heart rate was elevated, which in turn was affecting my sleep, which in turn was affecting my performance in the gym, which in turn was affecting my digestion, which in turn was affecting my emotional state. So clenbuterol, as effective as it is, it does come along with its side effects. And for me, it wasn't worth it, because I've got a business to run, I've got people to coach, and I still want to progress my body. And it doesn't matter what you take. If you're not sleeping, you're not recovering, you're not getting into that parasympathetic state when needed, your digestion starts to go off, everything starts to go south. So being a bit older, being a bit wiser, back in the day, I would just suffer the consequences of the side effects, because I thought, this is what I need to do. So if I have anxiety and my body's stressed, so fucking be it. It is what it is. I'm going to battle through it. But this time I was like, no, man, I'm not going to spend my time feeling like shit, being on edge, feeling anxious, when I don't really have an actual purpose. It's not like I'm competing in a bodybuilding show and I need to win. It's nothing like that. I just wanted to get into fantastic shape, and I wanted to get it done as soon as I possibly could. And that's why I was utilizing these compounds. And I've been off them for such a long time, I think my body was extra sensitive. So I ended up coming off the Clen and the T3 and the T4 because it just wasn't working for me. Yes, I was getting some results, but the results to side effect ratio was not worth it for me. Like I said, if I was 10 years younger, 10 years less wiser, I would just be, oh, that's what it is, bro. Just stick with it. But I'm like, nah, man, I'm not going to do this. So I kept on my testosterone for the remaining weeks. At this point, I lost about 10 pounds. And then I got unwell with a chest infection. So I came off the test, gave my body a complete reset. I still trained, still did a bit of cardio, still did a bit of steps. I wasn't doing much cardio when I was doing this rapid fat loss because my calories are so low, cardio wasn't needed. And then I was doing research, and that moment of time, I was talking to a few people that are on the competitive stage, and I was looking more into peptides, because peptides in themselves are fantastic. I'm saying that now. I was like, the BPC worked wonders. I wonder what else is out there. I've always read about them, always seen people talk about them online, but I've never particularly used them, because I've always been like, well, if you're going to take peptides, you might as well just take steroids. Just take the real shit and take things which we know that works. But I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit naive. I was a little bit naive to how peptides work, what they are, what they do, how they all have different purposes, how they all have different roles within the body. So this is where the Reta came in. This is when I'd done my research and I thought to myself, look, I'm on a cut and I want to do this cut once and for all, and I want to get myself into fantastic shape and just stay like that. I don't want to do this whole bulking, cutting. I don't want to do off-season cuts. So I just want to be in great shape so I can fit good in clothes, so I can take my top off at any given time, any given place, whether it's a picture, whether it's at an event, whether it's for the beach, whatever. I'm just ready 24/7. Because I've never experienced that. Every time I've been in fantastic shape, it's always been for a bodybuilding competition. And when I'm competing, I always feel like shit. And then after I finish competing, it's like literally, okay, we're going to go into a health phase and we're then going to go back into a growing phase. So when I'm actually in condition for a show, no one really sees my body. I don't even go out. I'm covered up in a hoodie because I feel weak. I feel tired. I'm conscious of how I look because I'm going to compete on stage. And I know that I've got to be better and so forth. So I've never really had a great physique where I've just enjoyed it. Do you understand? It's like having a really nice car, but leaving it in your garage. You're taking it once out on the weekend or taking it out every month. And I wanted to experience a good physique. I wanted to experience being lean. I wanted to stay lean. So I thought to myself, look, if I'm going to try something with all the research and data and conversations I've had, I might as well just do it now. Fuck it. What have I got to lose, right? And in the day, you can try something. It can work out. It might not work out. But I'm the type of guy that wants to try it because at least I have that box ticked off. And that's kind of like how I've got to the point with my knowledge with myself, because I've tried the hardcore diets. I've tried the higher anabolic cycles, the higher PEDs. I've tried the fasting. I've tried everything because curiosity has always got the better of me. And once I tick that box off, it's done. I know whether it's going to be good for me or bad for me. But not knowing gets to me. Not knowing makes me feel, do you know what if this is better? What if this works a certain way? What if this is a better route for me? So the curiosity has always got the better of me to try new things and push the limit, because you don't know where your limits are until you push them. So I was like, okay, fuck it, let's try it. So I hopped back onto the TRT dosage, right? I don't even know why I came off, to be honest with you. I shouldn't have probably done that. I should have just kept it running. But because I wasn't well, I couldn't be bothered, to be quite honest with you. Just laziness, nothing else but that. And I added in Retatrutide. Retatrutide has been game changing through my fat loss process. I have never in my life experienced such fantastic results with minimal side effects, with a cascade of health benefits. So let me say that again. Retatrutide, I have seen my body shift body fat, feeling fantastic, and it's improved my health markers. So not only am I getting results, right, and my body is starting to change, but my health markers, because I did get a blood test done, are improving dramatically. My lipid profile improved significantly. My LDL level dropped in half. My HDL level increased. And my cholesterol level was perfectly in range with my triglycerides. And my HbAC1 was perfect. I was like, fuck. Like, this is incredible. Now, let me explain something to you. When I came to using Retatrutide, prior to this, I am against and still against Ozempic and Mounjaro. The reason being, they work on the mechanism of appetite suppression only, meaning it will stop you from eating. And this is why we're seeing such bad health issues on the back of this, because whether you're taking Ozempic or Mounjaro, if you starve yourself of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, you're going to cause yourself damage, whether you take something to do that, to induce that, or whether you just do it off your own back, right? If you're not eating and eating the right amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats, you're not getting the right vitamins, minerals into your body, what do you think is going to happen? Your body is going to start to fall apart. You're going to start to become deficient in vitamins and minerals. Your hormones are going to start to get impacted, and your general well-being. This is why I've never liked those compounds, because it literally stops you from eating. And people have reported the fact they haven't been able to eat properly since. People have reported the fact that they've had kidney issues, heart issues, even eyesight issues. And it's like, well, yes, you can say, well, Ozempic did this or Mounjaro did that, but what actually did it was what it caused with you starving yourself, like literally not eating. You're devoiding your body of the things that it needs to regulate basic hormonal function, basic brain function, basic energy production. You're removing all of that, and you're injecting something for that to happen, right? So whether you injected something or not, and you did that just because you wanted to do it, you're going to give yourself problems if you do that for an extended period of time. So I've never been into that. But what impressed me, and what got me thinking about Retatrutide, was the fact it's a triple threat, or should I say it's a multi-action GLP. So what this means is it works on three things. It improves the glucagon receptors, it improves energy expenditure, and it improves fat metabolism, right? And it improves the body's ability to regulate blood glucose. So rather than suppressing your appetite by blunting it completely, you don't get that food noise. You don't really crave, because your sugar levels are so stable throughout the day. Inflammation is lowered. Energy levels are higher. You feel just constantly good. So it looked good on paper. The data looked really good from what we've seen so far. And that is the reason why I added it into my plan. And my God, just running TRT and Retatrutide together, I started to see my body change quite drastically. I actually lost a lot of weight in the first week. I think I dropped about 6 to 8 pounds, but that was inflammation. That wasn't fat. That was my body holding on to inflammation and stress on the back of my chest infection. But my God, things started to click. Energy levels started to pick up. The craving for food started to lessen. Right? Even though I don't mind being hungry, I actually like being hungry, because hunger keeps me alert, hunger keeps me on point, hunger keeps me moving, right? I like to be hungry. I don't like to feel full. When I feel full, I feel lethargic. So I'm adding this in. I'm thinking to myself, fuck me. This is game changing, and since I've started using that, which I've been using it now for, I think, 6-7 weeks, maybe going on 8, I haven't needed to increase my dosage of Retatrutide. I think the biggest mistake people make is by increasing the dosage. And they're increasing the dosage because they're looking for appetite suppression. So what ends up happening, you put yourself back into that box like Ozempic and Mounjaro, where again, you're not eating. When I implemented Retatrutide to my plan, my nutrition, I didn't change my nutrition. I stayed with the food that I was eating and I added this in. I didn't adjust my food around the Retatrutide. I kept my Retatrutide dose at a very low dose, which was 2 milligrams per week to start. I've done that split into 2 shots and I've just kept it there. I've experimented with doing daily shots, so getting that 2 milligrams across a week, splitting it daily. And I've also experimented with 3 times a week with that 2 to 2.5 milligram, let's say, because it's very hard to accurately dose sometimes if you haven't got the pen or you're mixing it yourself. So between 2.5 milligrams is what I've been on for the whole amount of time. I've had no issues. I still get hungry. My hunger's actually picked up a little bit more. And it's just like I'm on a normal diet. But every time I make a dietary change, so for example, if I decrease my food, I don't feel that decrease as much because I don't get that hunger. I don't really get that food noise. If anything, since starting Retatrutide, I've increased my food predominantly from carbohydrates because its ability to upregulate your efficiency of regulating blood glucose, its ability to improve your mitochondria, its ability to improve the glucagon receptor, just makes your body so much more better at utilizing nutrients. And you utilize these nutrients, these carbohydrates, your mitochondria is more efficient, your energy levels are through the roof, your morale is good, inflammation is low, your body's just moving forward with ease. And this is why this fat loss phase I've been doing has been so surprising to me, because normally when I'm this low body fat, I feel absolutely fucked. Everyone who knows me, everyone who's been a part of my life, who's seen me prep for competitions, you know, I've always been super tired, super weak, not been very sociable. Conversations were very little because of how drained I felt. And I used to just put it down to the fact, well, I'm very lean on body fat. My calories are low. I've been dieting for a period of time, and that's what it is. And maybe the PEDs, but it absolutely is the PEDs. It absolutely was the anabolics. Because I've managed to take my body to that same level of conditioning, and I feel a million times different. I don't even feel like I'm low body fat. This is the thing. I feel good. My energy, look at this, well, how I'm talking. My energy levels feel good, you know? So it is fantastic if used correctly. And I feel that a very small dose can go a very long way. You don't want to be using Retatrutide to stop yourself from eating. You're going to put yourself in a bad position. You want to use it to block out a bit of food noise, but for its glucose benefits, for its lipid profile benefits, for its mitochondria benefits, for its inflammation benefits, for its ability to improve insulin sensitivity, which greater insulin sensitivity means greater utilization of nutrients, especially in the form of carbohydrates. So that's how I've managed to start to eat more food throughout my cutting process, which I've never done before. So for me, Reta is fantastic. I think this is going to be game-changing in the bodybuilding and fitness industry. I already know people that are using it, that are on that Olympia stage, that are competing at the highest level, because they're using something now, which is helping them through their diet phases where predominantly they normally get hungry. They're having to use less traditional fat burners like clenbuterol and T3 because they have something which is pushing that fat loss forward, and their energy levels are higher. And as a result of that, you're going to burn more calories. So Retatrutide for me has been fantastic. I think it's going to be out there for everyone to use at some point. But the user is so important because people seem to have this attitude. If you use a little bit of something, imagine if I use more, imagine if I use more, imagine if I use more. And that's not the way to use this. That's not the way to use any compound. If you're making results on something, just leave it where it is. Right? Because too much of anything is not good for you. So Retatrutide is fantastic. It took me to the level of body fat that I've always struggled to get to, had to use fat burners and PEDs and anabolics and feel like absolute shit. I've managed to get there. I feel like a normal man with just sub 4% body fat. Fucking brilliant. So now, I'm like using this Reta, I'm on TRT, I'm feeling good. My cholesterol profile, my lipid profile has improved dramatically. I'm waking up feeling energized. I'm going to bed feeling energized. And bear in mind, guys, I'm still in a calorie deficit. My calories aren't through the roof. Yes, I have increased them over a period of time, but they're not nothing to sing home about. They're still quite low for my body, but I still want to lose fat, right? So I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like, how the hell am I getting into shape? Not doing any cardio, doing steps, training hard. My energy levels are great from start to finish. I don't feel like a zombie. I feel the best I've ever felt in a long time. So when you look at the difference between PEDs, anabolics, and peptides, how can I explain this to you to make it as simple as possible for you to understand, right? Go into all the educational stuff, all the, you know, the physics and the science and whatnot. But in reality, the difference between anabolic steroids and peptides is this. An anabolic steroid is like getting a turbo and sticking it on a car. Something that wasn't part of the car, you now want to put it on there to give it so much more power. But with that power comes problems. So what do you have to do? You have to put safety measures into place. You've got to upgrade the ECU, you've got to upgrade the intercooler, you've got to upgrade the brakes, the discs, the oil, you've got to upgrade the tires to cope with this crazy amount of power that you're putting on this car, which it was never designed to handle. That's exactly what anabolics are like. You're putting something into your body that's giving you super physiological, you know, upgrading to a degree, right? So your body's not producing this to some degree, or these levels of testosterone, or these foreign substances. You're literally giving your body something. Your body's not creating it. It's not stimulating it. You're giving yourself testosterone. You're giving yourself masteron. You're giving yourself trenbolone, winstrol, halotestin. You're giving yourself growth hormone. So it's an external source that you're just literally injecting into your body. And yes, steroids are more effective. They do work quicker, but they come with a cascade of consequences and health issues. I'm not saying they're bad to use. I'm not saying stay away from them. But there is a consequence to it, depending on the person, depending on how much you use, depending on how long you use for, depending on your nutrition, your training, your health markers, depending on how regularly you take your blood work, depending on your health supplement stack. All these things you've got to take into consideration. But steroids are very direct. You take winstrol, you take trenbolone, you take clenbuterol, you take TIN3, you fucking feel it. You feel it on that given day. Peptides, using the car analogy, are completely different. What peptides are, it's like taking your car and remapping the ECU so the car can perform at its most optimal. So it's doing what it can do at its maximum. It's not going above it. It's not like steroids where you're putting this huge turbo on and you're giving it so much power that you need to put other safety measures in place. Peptides just get the best out of what you've got by stimulating glands and responses through the amino acid pathways that it uses to elicit the most optimal environment in your body for whatever you're using the peptides for. There's peptides for hair, there's peptides for skin, there's peptides for nails, there's peptides for inflammation, there's peptides for injury, there's peptides for recovery, there's peptides for fat loss, there's peptides for growth hormone release, there's peptides for improvement of mitochondria, there's peptides for neurological function. There's peptides for everything. And what these peptides do is when you take them, they stimulate glands and signals within the body to stimulate a response, to elicit an optimal response. You're optimizing things in your body to put it at the highest level of threshold. If you've got a bar of 1 to 10, peptides are coming in and pushing it up to 10, keeping you at that 10, optimizing things in the body. So things like fat loss, muscle gain, improved growth hormone, neurological function, inflammation, mitochondria improvement is all happening, right? So when you look at this, right, you got to think about it like this. Peptides assist glands to stimulate and optimize the production within our own bodies. That is the difference between peptides and steroids. Steroids blocks the pathways in the bodies and goes directly to doing what it needs to do. Simple as that. So now I'm using Retatrutide. I'm like, man, this is fantastic. I feel good. I'm looking good. My body's improving. My appetite's in a good spot. I'm not necessarily hungry, but I'm not necessarily, I can't eat. It's just good. I feel good. Like when I come to eat, I can eat. But between each meal, I don't think about food. It just blocks out that food noise, right? So Retatrutide, I said about it before, and I'm saying it again. My experience with it has been absolutely fantastic. You don't need to keep escalating your dose, even though you see a lot of things online where it says keep upping it. I think that's going to be a fatal mistake for many people. A lower dose goes a very long way. What you have to figure out is, does your body respond better to a single shot, or does it respond better to microdosing it? So splitting it into 2, 3, and more shots. From my personal experience, microdosing has worked far greater than just doing one big bolus shot, which is what is instructed out there. But like I said, everyone's case dependent. I find with myself, this works best. And I'll keep it in until I see otherwise. I'm going to get another blood test done, see what my lipid profile is. I'm so shocked. And let me be honest with you guys here. What Retatrutide did to my lipid profile in terms of improvement in the time frame it did, I have never seen anything like that. Yes, you can improve your lipid profile over time using the correct supplements, using the correct nutrition, and that might take you 3, 4, 5, 6 months. This improved it within 3 to 4 weeks. I've never seen that, ever. And you know what's interesting? I didn't even use any health supplements because I wanted to see exactly what the thing does. It was literally just nutrition, training, Reta. Because when you're doing a cascade of things, how do you know what's doing what? So I removed all my citrus bergamot, I removed all my niacin, I removed all my fish oils, I removed everything that would elicit healthy fat levels and improvement of lipid. I just wanted to see what this compound did. And it done phenomenal things. Now, obviously, you need to be utilizing, or I was utilizing Retatrutide within a good nutritional plan. It's not there to substitute you eating shit. It's not there to starve yourself so you don't eat at all. It's not there to fix things that you're causing in the first place. Like, there's no point me eating saturated fats, binging, eating processed foods, and saying to myself, well, I could take Reta. It's going to fix my lipid profile. Everything works as a cocktail, and everything works synergistically, and it all works together, right? You want to have it all. There's no point just doing one thing to cascade, to mask other problems that you're creating in the first place. So when I was using the Reta, I was getting fantastic results for it. And I was like, man, this is fucking crazy. My body fat levels are coming down. I'm looking healthier. My energy levels are through the roof. My mitochondria is optimal because there's energy being pulled. The mitochondria is one of the most important things in the body, guys. A lot of people don't understand. And I didn't really dig that deep into it to understand that the mitochondria is the most important thing. And I think to myself, or one of the most important things. And I think the reason why my fat loss journey has been so different to the last is when I last got into shape for a competition, I'm not competing by the way, but when I did, I was using PEDs, which was causing oxidative stress on the body, which in turn was damaging my mitochondria. So think about it like this way. My mitochondria is less efficient, it's producing less energy, hence why I'm feeling shit, hence why my fat loss started to stall, hence why I ended up taking more anabolics. Didn't look at the mitochondria, looked at, I must be tired, part of the process, bro, let's take more gear, bro. Didn't look at it. Now my mitochondria is running optimal and I think I can improve it even more. I've got energy for fucking days, absolute days, right? And that's been the biggest difference in the process. I haven't felt like shit getting to this level of body fat. I haven't felt weak or tired or moody or stressed or, just day-to-day chores. Like you hear people say, I find it hard to put my shoes on when I get shredded. Yeah, because your mitochondria is fucked. That's why. You should be feeling good. This whole thing of feeling like death for a bodybuilding show or even getting sub 5% body fat is all to do with the drugs that people are taking. Simple as that. Yes, there will come a time where you don't feel as good. Let's just say I've done this naturally as well, but I've got this powerhouse in place. My mitochondria is not letting go. It's not down-regulating. It's not becoming inefficient. My oxidative stress is low. My inflammation low. It's able to do what it needs to do. And that's why I've been able to power through and continue with this journey because I don't feel like, I'm at the end of a cut now. I can't wait to eat. I'm feeling tired. I want to get back to normal. This is fucking normal for me. This is absolutely normal for me. And for me to say that after doing this for 15 plus years, I'm fucking shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. So I'm going to go to explain the mitochondria and everything like that as well. But what I then did during this process, because I was having such success with this compound, is I thought, you know what? Let me add in another peptide. Right? What is out there that can improve my mitochondria? What is out there that can help me with energy levels even more? What can supercharge us even more? I don't want to take anabolics. I'm out of that now. I'm a guy that wants to stay in shape, look good, feel good, move good. And I don't want to be taking things that are causing... I'm old enough now to understand that I'm not going to be an Olympia competitor. I'm not going to be a professional bodybuilder. So there's no point for me. And at the same time, can't be bothered with the side effects. I can't be bothered with the health phases. I can't be bothered with the blood test. Is this real? Is that real? I just want to be good and feel good all the time. I don't want to have to take something and then be like, well, I've taken this for 12 weeks now. Let's see how fucked my blood is so I can do a recovery phase or a health phase that you see a lot of bodybuilders say. I can't be bothered with that shit. I just want to be constantly healthy, feeling good and looking good and moving good. And knowing that this is my body. TRT and a few peptides. It's not like on gear or anabolics where you're taking something and then you realize big fear for a lot of people is when I come off, will I lose it? I don't have that fear because I don't have to come off, because on TRT is what I predominantly use anyway, keep myself within a healthy range, and I'll just pull and adjust my peptides throughout the process. I'll go times without them and I'll go times where I add them back in. But I'm not going to get such a drastic change in my physique because it's not changing me cosmetically. A lot of these anabolics change you cosmetically. Right? They give you a full sense of reality of what you really are. That's why when someone comes off them, you can clearly see that. With me, I just feel like I'm a natural. I don't even look like I'm on PEDs because I don't have that pop to the muscle. I don't have that roundness. I don't have that fullness. I don't have that level of vascularity. The reason why I look half decent is because my body fat levels are so low and you can see actual muscle and you see a few veins because my skin's quite thin right now because of the fat that I've got to. So yeah, that's what my reasoning is for it. If you want to go ahead, use PEDs, absolutely. Just make sure you use them safely and get proper advice when doing so. So what I did next was I heard a lot of talk about SLU PP332. So I was reading about SLU PP332 of how it improves the mitochondria. That was the thing that stood out the most to it about that peptide. And, you know, I'm researching more mitochondria. I'm implementing things to improve that even more. But SLU PP332 is another fucking game changer. It is. I've found myself having energy for days upon end. Days. Like, it's incredible. I'm in a calorie deficit. My body fat levels are low. I've been dieting for nearly a 4-month period now. I should feel like shit. I should feel like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't wait to put food back in. I can't wait. I feel great. I can just keep going and going. It's almost like I've transferred from petrol to diesel. I've got an extra 500 miles in the tank. Feel great on it. So what SLU is, right? SLU PP332 is basically exercise in a bottle. It actually mimics the same benefits you get from exercising without exercising. How incredible is that? You're taking something which literally mimics the same pathways as if you're exercising without exercising. So what does this mean? It means that your body's burning more calories. And by burning more calories, you're going to burn more body fat, which is incredible. It is exercise in a bottle. It boosts energy. It improves fat metabolism. It improves the mitochondria. So this all still leads back to the mitochondria, because when the mitochondria is running so efficient, its ability to oxidize fat, its ability to produce energy is far greater. SLU PP332, exercise in a bottle, and that's exactly what it is, plus a lot more. I've been using this for a while now, and I have nothing but positive things to say about it. I have energy from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed. And bearing in mind my body fat levels are very low, bearing in mind I've been in a calorie deficit for nearly a 4-month period, bearing in mind that I've been on a diet plan for such a long period of time, for a 4-month period, at this point I should feel fucked. At this point I should want to put food back into my diet. At this point I should want to just start going back to normality. But no, I feel like this is giving me extra gears. I feel like this has taken me from being a petrol car to a diesel. Now I've got all this extra mileage in the tank. I could keep going. It is fantastic. You know, it is exercise in a bottle because it mimics the same pathways, the ERRs in the body. It mimics that. The same thing that your body experiences through exercise. It mimics that without exercising, which is incredible. You're literally taking something which is mimicking the same effect as if you're exercising. So what does this tell you? you're going to be burning more calories throughout the day, right? You're going to have more energy because its ability to improve the mitochondria is fantastic. The more optimal you make them, the more optimal you make your mitochondria, the more energy your body can utilize and produce. This is where the game-changing thing is, because you got to understand your body's ability to pull energy and utilize it is so much more efficient. It's like you've got a constant full gas tank. The gas tank don't drop. You're doing more and more mileage, and you're looking at the fuel tank, and you're like, shit, it's not going down. That's how this feels, because it's improvement to the mitochondria, which then an improved mitochondria, you get better fat metabolism, you get more energy. It improves your body's ability to oxidize fat. So now you've got something which is just allowing you to burn more body fat without feeling the fatigue, without feeling the elevated heart rate, without feeling the jitters and the anxiety you get from over-the-counter fat burners or fat burners like Clen and T3, which can elevate the heart rate. It is just making you feel like Superman. And I think this is another thing which is going to start getting used heavily in the fitness industry, because you're getting these peptides now which are eliciting such great results without the side effects. See, when you take something like a fat burner in the anabolic world, like the Cleanse, the T3s, the T4s, they work. Fuck me, they work, and they are effective, and they can be used if you know how to use them correctly. But they do make you feel a certain way, make you feel on edge, make you feel agitated, can throw your digestion off, can throw your mood off, can throw your sleep off, can throw your recovery off, because you're just in this constant heightened state of elevated heart rate. Sue doesn't do that. It literally just doesn't do that. It just gives you more energy. It gives you energy to train harder, train longer. It improves your mitochondria to be able to do these certain things. And it is fantastic. And I think that the more you can optimize your mitochondria through using these pathways, the more you're going to see better results with your body, the more you're going to see better energy levels, better fat loss, better muscle gain, better cognitive function, less brain fog, and essentially more longevity, because the mitochondria has a massive role in that. And that's why that if you look at it from that aspect, these things are doing fantastic things. So that's the SLU PP332, mitochondrial function. So at this stage of the fat loss phase, all I've used is testosterone, Retatrutide, and SLU PP332. The three, testosterone at a TRT dosage. Retatrutide ranging between 1.5 to 2.5 milligrams per week, microdosed, with SLU running between 250 micrograms to 500 micrograms per day, has been enough for me to go from shit to fit. Has been enough for me to go from 20% body fat down to 5% body fat. Has been enough for me to feel fantastic whilst I've been doing that. And yes, I've had a good nutrition plan. And yes, my training has been on point. My nutrition has been on point. I haven't cheated. I haven't gone off plan. So those things have to be in place. But this whole process of where I've gone from and to in the duration of time that I have and how I feel during it, utilizing these peptides, and these are just the basic peptides, I've not introduced other things which I will do in the future, has been a completely night and day difference to what I've experienced before when using PEDs, when using high amounts of testosterone, Masteron, Winstrol, Trenbolone, Clenbuterol, T3, T4. Even when I've used TRT and Clen and T3 and T4, I felt like absolute shit. And I haven't even got to the goal I wanted to get to, because by the time I'm getting there, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I've managed to get myself into the same position as I did when I used to compete on hormone replacement therapy, testosterone, and some peptides. Fucking think about that. I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. Yes, I don't look probably as good as I did before. I don't have the fullness and roundness in the muscle. I don't have the vascularity. Maybe my muscle mass is down a little bit. I don't really know. But I probably think it might be to a degree. And that could even be because I stopped training for a long time. I was training for the marathon and training for high rocks. I stopped doing actual bodybuilding training. Could even be that. But the reality is that if you told me 16 weeks ago that I could get to this level of body fat and I could actually feel good while doing it, and I could have still more energy and still have room to push on, and my blood work would come back good, and it would actually be improved during the process, I would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're talking shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel fantastic during this process, and I really feel that peptides have been around for a long time. They have been around for quite a long time now, but I think they're just coming to the forefront. Like Bitcoin, where it was sitting in the background and then it boomed, peptides are starting to boom, and there's a reason for it, because there's a peptide for everything. There's peptide for hair gain, there's peptide for inflammation and so forth. I've explained that to you before. So what my goal is now is to experiment with other peptides, pulling some things out, adding some things in, like adding like MOTS-C, adding in methylene blue, adding in AOD, and just seeing how my body responds to these compounds, and start to tailor my own specific peptide stack for my body, for my dosages and what works well for me. Keep my eye on my blood tests and see how I go, because in reality, I think a lot of people out there want to get into fantastic shape, don't necessarily want to go down the anabolic route, want something a little bit more than what you would be naturally. Peptides, in my opinion, is the answer. If you don't want to take anabolics, you don't want to go down the route of maybe some side effects, unwanted side effects, you know that naturally you might not have the best genetics, or you want to just go a bit beyond what you can naturally, then I would utilize peptides. Absolutely, I would do that. And then what's interesting is, because certain peptides do improve your mitochondria and lower oxidative stress, when you do utilize anabolics, it makes those anabolics work so much more effectively, because the receptors are more responsive. So where you might have having to take a certain amount of testosterone to get a response, you'll probably find you can take half of that. Or the same goes with your cleanse, your T3s, your T4s, your winsterols, your trenbolones. Like, it just makes the body so optimal that anything you do with it, it optimizes. It gives you tenfold back. And I think that, for me, is such a crazy thing to be saying. So, like I said, if you're somebody that thinks to themselves, you know what, I don't really want to go down the PED route and have to do PCT and this and that and the other, and I want to build myself naturally, but I want a bit of an extra edge. I honestly think peptides are the next best thing. And then if you go to using anabolics, what you'll probably find is you can use less. But this is all with good nutrition and training. Make sure your foundation is in place. Make sure your foundation is there. Don't try to utilize, whether it's peptides or PEDs, don't use it to mask a shitty diet. Don't use it to mask a training routine which doesn't work for your body. Get to understand your body naturally. Get to understand what food works well for you. Get to understand what diet approach works well for you. Get to understand what training plan works well for you, and evolve that, because we evolve over time. Your training will evolve, your nutrition will evolve. And when you get a good understanding of your body, when you start to add things in, you get 10 times the return, because you already know what works. You already know what your nutrition should be. You already know what your training should be. So it's almost like the cream on top of the cake, right? It's the icing on the cake. It literally is that layer which gives it that final touch to something which tastes delicious. It's the same thing with anabolics and peptides. They should be the icing on top of the cake. It shouldn't be the fucking full cake. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? So I've come to share my experience with what I've been doing, because I've had a lot of questions. Like I said, I do think these things are fantastic to use when you have everything in place. One thing I will like to say is, with Retatrutide, do not use it in a way where you stop eating, where you cannot eat any food. That's the wrong way to do it. A lot of people seem to be doing that. They seem to be taking dosages so they can eat less. I actually had a comment the other day, I think on my social media, where they're like, well, of course Retatrutide works. You just eat less. Well, I ate more and I lost fat. I actually ate more on Reta. So where's that fucking theory gone? It's not about eating less. It's about using something which optimizes your mitochondria, which optimizes which lowers inflammation, which improves blood glucose, which improves your body's ability to utilize energy, which helps utilize nutrients in the body, especially from carbohydrates. It's not about, oh, you took something to eat less. I ate more. And you know, when I started using it, I didn't change my diet. This is the thing, if you want to understand, when people come to me and they ask me about Retatrutide, they're like, well, I'm still getting hungry. Yeah, well, that's good. Unless you got something fake, there will still be a level of hunger. You don't want to be taking something where you're not hungry. It could go both ways, right? You could take it and initially feel sort of like your hunger subside, you start to feel just constantly full, or you get hungrier. What I personally found is when I took it, I'd be hungry, really hungry the next day, and then a couple of days afterwards, I'd be normal. I would feel no hunger. The food noise would be gone. And over time, my hunger to food noise just balanced itself out. Like I said, when it came time to eat, I was able to eat. But I didn't think about my next meal. Sometimes the clock would go over, not that I'm clock watching, but I'd be like, shit, I've got to eat. I want to get 4 meals or 5 meals in today. That's the difference, right? You're not sitting there thinking, fuck, I'm really hungry. When's my next meal due? And like I said, it's a tool to use as and when needed, and depending on where you are in your journey and depending on what you're looking to achieve. That's what peptides are. They're a tool. Tools in your toolbox. When you go to a job, you ain't going to use every tool to do that job. You're going to need specific tools to do that particular job. And when you go to the next one, you might use different tools. So peptides in themselves, I wouldn't use every one under the sun. I would use the ones which are suitable for that situation and purpose. For example, you've torn a muscle, you've got a ligament injury, you've got joint pain, BPC 157 and TB 500. That's your go-to. That's the tools you pull out the tool bag to use for that. Gut health, BPC 157 plus KPV, already taken, is absolutely fantastic. I've seen this help with psoriasis. I've seen this help with celiacs. I've seen it help with Crohn's. It lowers inflammation. It repairs the gut lining. It repairs the gut health. Usually, a split dose of 250 micrograms of BPC and 250 micrograms of KPV morning and night works spot on, and it gets the job done quite quickly, providing your diet's in place. So yeah, if you've got, like I said, that toolbox and you need something for the gut health, BPC 157 and KPV combined, orally taken twice a day, 250 of each, fucking works brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Almost like it resets the gut. And then you can actually improve so many things because your gut health is on point. Your body's ability to utilize nutrients and extract nutrients and minerals from your food becomes a lot greater. You'll probably find you have to use less gut supplements in terms of your gut health stack because it just resets that digestive system. But again, you've got to keep on top of it. You can't take something and then go back to what you're doing before because you end up in the same place. What you want to do is utilize something to fix it and keep up your good habits. Like I said, these things are tools which I'm going to be covering over an extended period of time. I want to cover what I've been doing, so I'll give you an update with myself. I think in the next video, I'm utilizing now MOTS-C, I'm utilizing 5-amino-1Q, and I'm utilizing AOD, and I'll be adding in some methylene blue. I'll see how I go with the next 4 weeks, my findings, my dosage in, the positives, the negatives, and share that with you guys and just share my experiences. Like I said, the science experiment is yourself. What is written on paper, what the literature says, gives you an understanding, but how that applies to you is an individual thing. You know, you could read something on a paper, but how your body takes something is an individual response. Everybody's body's different, and that is where you've got to find out what works for you and what doesn't. The paperwork, the literature gives you an understanding, but literature and information is different to application on yourself. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It's been a bit of a rant, and I haven't stopped speaking for an hour straight. That is the Reta and Slew doing that, combined with the MOTS-C now, energy for days. I've actually been low carb today. I think I've run 50 grams of carbs today this morning. I'm added in cardio half an hour. Calories are quite low. Morale is high. Mood is high. Energy is high. And I hope you're feeling the energy through this podcast, because you know what? I actually feel like I can go and fucking train now. I actually feel I can go and train now. The gentleman here who's doing my recording said to me, would you like a cup of coffee? I said, no, I'm caffeinated 24/7. I don't need coffee when I got Slew and Reta. That is my new coffee. I just don't get the downcome. Guys, it's amazing. Hopefully, you know, the positivity from what I'm using and utilizing. I see that in my blood tests. And then I have a tool in the bag to utilize as and when needed. I would cycle these peptides. I wouldn't do Reta and Slew continuously, even though the studies have been done with people using them up to, I think it's 40 weeks plus. I personally like to use things for 12 to 16 weeks and take a break, just through It's just my own personal preference. Let my body just go, just chill, and then I add it in back again. So till next time, enjoy.